Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the HR Week webinar series. My name is Lara Kukobat, and I will be your host for today. Thank you for joining. We're absolutely delighted to have you here with us today. HR Week is a special time of year when we all come together to share insights, learn from industry leaders, and explore new strategies to drive success in our organizations. Whether you're tuning in from the office or from the comfort of your home, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Now, let's go to the highlight of today's session. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Luke Floyd. But let me tell you a bit more about Luke. Luke is an accomplished enterprise sales professional with a remarkable track record of exceeding quotas and generating over 20 million in revenue. As a veteran, he brings a unique blend of discipline, leadership, and strategic thinking to the table. And if that isn't impressive enough, he's also an aspiring banjo player, proving that balancing professional excellence with personal passions is indeed possible. Luke is currently serving as an enterprise account executive at Deal, and he has earned 6 promotions throughout his career. So I would say that his ability to drive success across multiple roles showcases not just his adaptability, but also his relentless commitment to excellence. So today, Luke will be sharing his invaluable insights on achieving success in the competitive world of enterprise sales and strategies for surpassing goals. So without further ado, please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to Luke Floyd. Luke, welcome, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks, Laura. I think the goal of this webinar will be to live up to that introduction. If we can do that, it's going to go great. Yes, I'm really excited to be here joining HR Week for their webinar series. Specifically, we're going to be chatting about digital conferences and how to do sales around them in an effective manner.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure you're gonna live up to the presentation I made. Before you take over, I just want to say to all of you present, feel free to ask questions along the way, and we will make sure to answer them in the end. Luke, the stage is yours.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'm excited to be here as well. So a little bit of background on my selling history. I initially started working in a digital sales environment in actually 2016. So I've been doing this for quite a few years, and I'm very used to selling digitally. Obviously, the rest of us kind of got thrown into selling digitally with COVID, and that's when the rise of digital conferences really started happening. But now we're seeing that thanks to things like HR Week and other expos, I think that there's a lot of benefit in digital conferences. So let's start with just why are they even essential? I think that inevitably sales teams in specific sales and marketing both need to have a process for how to approach events, because events aren't all the same anymore. It's no longer just at a conference where you physically go in and have a booth. Digital conferences are a very rare thing. First, they help you with global reach. So this isn't just removing those geographical barriers to allow you to, travel or do different conferences in different markets, but it's also on the attendee side. You can imagine if you're an HR team with one cohort in EMEA and one cohort in North America and one in APAC, maybe your team is able to consume content from the same conference where that might not have been possible had you required travel. Additionally, when we think about having to join from anywhere and that lack of travel, it's also about revisiting sessions for that global reach. Teams all over the world are able to see that. And then as we think about it being cost effective, I mean, there's obviously the downside of doing physical in-person events can sometimes be all of the cost of flying someone there, paying for their hotel, paying for meals, not to mention the actual cost of the event, getting the physical booth set up, the contractors associated with all of that. There's a lot of expenses. Digital events, on the other hand, could be a lower upfront investment, not just from the lack of travel, but as you think about salespeople, we are often volunteered and told to go and cover some of these events. And in this way, digital conferences could be a more cost-effective solution for the salesperson themselves. They're giving up less time because the travel isn't required. And so there's a lower upfront investment, not only for the company, but for the sales rep themselves. And then the sales rep can utilize the time and money savings to do other things like special incentives, build in custom offers, or even build in specific resources and materials, promotional materials related to the digital presence. And we'll get into that a little bit later. We also think about networking opportunities when it comes to digital conferences. The great thing about networking digitally is you can connect with a lot of people at once, as opposed to going to some, happy hour cocktail mixer where you have to go from person to person. In a digital conference like HR Week, I'm able to look up folks that are attending. I'm able to see the speakers. I'm able to quickly connect and engage with them, both through the chat, maybe connect with them outside on LinkedIn, whatever it might be. And then finally, as you think about the real-time feedback, there is a bonus feature for vendors with premium booths where they can get real-time feedback in this HR Week's digital conference. So that means things like polls, surveys, comments in real time. They can track those things. So whether it's the global reach, cost savings, the networking opportunities it represents, or even that real-time feedback, digital conferences aren't just a passing result of 2020. They're here to stay. And I think teams need to have a bifurcated events approach. You can't approach digital conferences in the same way that you'd approach a physical conference in person. All right, so why you shouldn't miss this opportunity, specifically as we think about HR Week. First is around positioning your brand in front of key decision makers. If you look at the attendees for HR Week, they're going to have a lot of incredible folks, a lot of incredible companies, and senior HR professionals that are actively searching for solutions. Your buyers come to these events maybe with a problem in mind that they're trying to solve, and that solution could be yours as a vendor. So the great thing about the digital format when it comes to maximizing exposure is that it allows for different placements like banner ads, featured sections, session sponsorships. In the same way that at a physical event, you would have various different ways that you could promote your company. HR Week and the digital event has that as well. And so this increased visibility really does help it build credibility as well as trust with potential clients. They can see that you're a part of this, you're a vetted vendor, they can see the type of solution that you have to offer, and then they can come with their comments or questions, and that speeds the conversation along, so to speak. And second, I think it's also the flexible format really does make a difference. Obviously, folks can join from any location, any time zone. There's also on-demand features when it comes to HR Week. So it'll be accessible, and the attendees can view the sessions at their convenience. So you'll have this ongoing life cycle of your material. And then your booth remains accessible for 6 months after the event, offering that extended exposure to clients. Even though the live sessions have concluded, those items that you share, that you personalize, that you put up into your booth, those can still live on and people can visit them, especially as we think about that problem-solving mindset. If you're an HR leader, you're attending HR Week, maybe you have a problem you're trying to solve, your team's been working on, being able to see somebody, a vendor or a presentation at HR Week, and then share that with your team, let's say a couple weeks later, as this topic of solving this problem comes back up, this is where HR Week can really maximize your impact. Excellent. So let's chat through the HR world and HR Week features, specifically the platform. And here our host, Laura, will actually show you the platform and drop in and show you all the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited to do that. So let me just share my screen. Okay, I hope we'll see this. Okay, perfect. So welcome to the HR Week platform. I'm really excited to guide you through the whole platform, but especially through the HR Expo zone. But first, let's just quickly recap what HR Week is all about. HR Week is an event that brings together HR professionals, thought leaders, innovators, and decision makers from all around the world. And the event is designed to foster high-value connections, to provide a platform for discussing emerging trends and challenges, and showcase cutting-edge solutions for the HR industry. And attendees come here with a clear purpose, whether it's to learn from experts or to explore partnerships and new solutions, they're ready to engage. And that's where the Expo zone comes in. But before we go to the Expo, let me just Sorry, I can't find my mouse. Okay, here we are. Let me just quickly explain this main page that comes up first. It is info pools, or the main stage, where you can see that at the bottom you have different buttons that lead you to different areas of the conference. But let's go to the Expo Zone. Expo Zone is a space where HR professionals and vendors connect. I will explain how it works and what it is that you can do there to make the most of your presence at HR Week. So, what makes the HR Expo a valuable platform for vendors is that it gives you a chance to display your latest offerings and innovations. Attendees are specifically looking for tools and solutions to address their problems, their challenges. So this is a perfect opportunity to position your product in front of the right audience. The Expo Zone also offers you a highly interactive experience. It enables you to connect with HR professionals who are actively looking for solutions. You can engage through different features such as chat options, you can schedule meetings, and you can also connect via social media, and thus creating valuable networking opportunities. So here we are, we arrived to the HR Expo Zone, and this is where vendors like you get to shine. As you can see, the Expo Zone is divided into several key sections. There is talent, development, HR tech, business booster, and employer booster. So obviously, depending on your business focus, you can select one or more areas to host your virtual booth. For instance, let's say your services span both talent and employer booster. You can set up a presence in both areas to maximize your exposure. But let's dive into a specific booth example. So let's head to this development section of the HR Expo Zone. I will just skip this part as we already saw the beautiful road at Expo. Okay, here we are in the development Expo section, and let's take as an example the booth from last year that LinkedIn had at HR Week. Okay. This is a premium booth, and as you can see, there are 3 videos prominently displayed. These videos are completely customizable, but what we learned from experience and our recommendation would be to keep them short, 30 seconds or less. The best practice is to create engaging and valuable content that captures attention quickly. And you should use these videos to demonstrate the value of your products or services in a captivating way. Then if we look on the right-hand side, you will see that there are 6 call to action buttons. The first button is about us, and this is where attendees discover who you are and what you do. This text should obviously be concise, direct, and focused on how your offerings can actually help them, how they can solve their problems or challenges. Then going forward, there is a download button. You can upload diverse materials that you think attendees would find useful, and they will be able to download them from this section of your booth. Here you can put resources like presentations, brochures, and you should make sure that these materials are concise, short, and focused on demonstrating your solutions. Okay, so going forward, one of the most important buttons is obviously the follow us button. And it allows participants to connect with you on social media, helping you to maintain relationships with them also long after the event ends. The next button would be book a meeting button, a critical feature, many would say. And attendees use this button to book directly meetings with you by providing you their contact details, optionally leaving also a message, and enabling you to follow up with those who are interested in your services. Okay, we will not contact LinkedIn for now. Then the next button is the video button. These videos that are here will also be displayed here on the top of your booth, ensuring high visibility for the key messages that you want to send to all the attendees that visit your booth. And in the end, there is this gift or the special offer button that is the place where you can add some exciting offer like discount vouchers or exclusive event offer, and obviously thereby you would encourage more engagement. And yeah, there are so many things I would like to show you on the platform, but we would need much more time. So that would be a brief overview of the Expo Zone, and it really is a powerful space for vendors to showcase their products and to engage with HR professionals and really build lasting connections. So that would be it from my side. Going back to Luke, and we will organize another webinar to just speak about the platform.
Excellent. It looks so innovative and cutting edge. So as we think about maximizing the engagement, as we think about maximizing participation, it's different being in a digital environment than it is being in a physical environment. You know, in a physical conference, you might get a list ahead of time and then you're trying to track down people, or maybe you have people that come to your booth and then you never really know who's going to walk up. And so you're just kind of serving the attendees as they come up. You also would then have, you know, Q&A sessions, live sessions, discussions, round tables that are happening outside of your booth. And that's one of the great things about a digital conference is you can have all of these things going on all at once and being in all places at once. So a great way that you can actively engage specifically with your live sessions, if you're a vendor and there's a live session that is maybe your subject area, you might even be sponsoring or a part of, you could participate in the live chat. So we obviously have the chat going in this webinar. You'll have a live chat during the HR Week sessions as well. And so if you think about building your credibility, especially around those problems that you solved, like we talked about previously, having a problem-solving focus, you can leave comments and engagement during these sessions that maybe help speak to the way that you can solve those problems. So it deals specifically, we sell global HR hiring and payroll tools that backed by a global people platform. And so if there was a session about, let's say, you know, I don't know, how you can do a global payroll strategy, I could participate and give advice and share feedback, whether I'm the sponsoring person, whether I'm actually, my company is the one that's actually participating in the session. It's possible to have engagement and interaction in these discussions, not only in the comments, but then also seeing the folks potentially that are commenting, that have questions, and then reaching out to them on the platform, asking them if you could be of service, maybe sending them your specific offer from your booth, or helping them know what booth number they can navigate to get that offer from. So if we think about live engagement driving that higher brand recall, the attendees will remember who they interacted with. You also want to link that with more than just your name or your company. You want to link that with the problem that you're solving. And that's true also in the post-event follow-up. If you're coming back, recapping with that person that maybe you interacted with over that live session, asking them how they're going about solving that problem. That's one way to do it. Or if they book a meeting at the booth, making sure that you're having a follow-up sequence in place so that you can connect with those folks. Having gone to events myself, it's always kind of a whirlwind, right? While you're there, and then you get home and you got to unpack and get back to your normal life. And so this follow-up is really valuable if you do it in a valuable way for the participants. Obviously, some folks might immediately book a meeting at the booth. And then as Laura showed you, the booth is designed where they can do that. But others might just take the information they've learned from HR Week or from your session and mull on it. Or maybe it's not as big of a priority, or maybe it becomes a bigger priority later. And so this is where having a strong follow-up sequence where you can interact with those folks that opted in or that you engaged with is really important, because you're also doing them a favor by ensuring that you stay on top of their radar around solving that problem. The second level, outside of just actively engaging, is also showcasing your expertise. And so if you think about HR Week as a 6-month long-lived asset in this way, you could share your HR Week content, your HR Week booth, on LinkedIn, in your LinkedIn posts, or on Twitter, or any of the other places where you share your thought leadership and your content. It's one way, if you think of it as like a digital leave behind, it's one way to point folks into a certain direction so then they can visit your booth. Additionally, if you looked at the buttons that Laura was mentioning, you have things like specific offers, or maybe there are free tools or resources that you could have specific to HR Week. So a great example of this at Deal, one of the areas that we can help with is global salary benchmarking, helping people see what folks make around the world in various roles, because we hire and pay people around the world in various roles. And so having one thing that we could have is a salary insights. For example, when you visit the booth, you could leave a role you're interested in seeing benchmarks for compensation, and then we could follow up with those details for you. So if you think about the offering that your booth presents, not only are you solving a problem, providing resources for the attendees to do their job, that's all building and showcasing your expertise. And then when you tack that on top of linking it back to your booth, those additional resources, so that you're funneling folks towards that level, that specific area for engagement, it can help you drive traffic back to your offering in that way as well. So that's how I think about maximizing your participation. Not only being active, this isn't something you can just register for and then a week later see what happened on. You really need to be involved and be live during the sessions, but then also formatting your participation and your engagement in a way that's helpful for your buyers, not just focused on you, but thinking about the attendees, the problems they're trying to solve, and how your expertise can help them solve those problems. Next, let's talk about setting up a standout digital booth. Now, in this case, you want to make your business stand out with clear messaging about your expertise and value. And so obviously simple language is step number one. But as we know, it's not always possible to necessarily set up simple language. And so you really want to work with marketing to build something that speaks to the attendees specifically. Obviously, they're going to be from the HR world, and then specifically the types of companies that might be attending, what might they find valuable. Second, I think you really want to highlight your unique value proposition, what makes you different from competitors. You saw the list that Laura presented. There will be a lot of vendors that are attending, and there might be vendors that are very much like your offering. And so you want to have the ability to share with vendors. How can you specifically stand out in a snippet when they just come and read one thing? What is your difference? Leading with that difference can really help. And one way to do this is to incorporate testimonials or success stories to boost your credibility. And one of those buttons that they mentioned on the booth, they could read real life case studies or success stories about how you've helped others do maybe solve the same type of problem they're considering. So that's helping really define who you are in About Us section. Second, you want to present your offering. So as you think about the type of offering you have, whether it's a product or a service, you want to use your booth to showcase those in an engaging and informative way. So if we think about the visuals that you have, maybe it's downloadable assets, the videos that Laura showed, infographics to clearly explain your product, whatever it might be. You might also have product descriptions, or even an interactive live demo that they could click into, that they could see more of your product, or maybe a virtual tour for that deeper level of engagement, so that when they do engage with you and have a conversation, there's a bit more information that's been provided. I see that we have a question that I'll answer here really quickly. One of the questions was, which types of content have driven the most engagement in the virtual booth? I think this is around specific use case and testimonials. As I think about the leave behinds that I want as a salesperson working a booth, the attendees to take away, yes, I want to give them an overview of what my company does, and that's important. But more important are those testimonials and success stories that I mentioned. So that way you could give them something that they walk away and say, okay, this company did this. I'm trying to do that same thing. Let me read more about how they were able to accomplish it. So that might be a case study. It might be a testimonial. It might be a video recording of your client speaking about how your offering works. Whatever it is, something that they can take away and immediately impacts the problem they're trying to solve. I think that's really what drives engagement, because people don't come back just to read and about you, right? They come back because they're interested in solving their problems. And so those leave behinds are often very effective in that way. The second question I have here is around advice on how you can personalize communication, the follow-up communications, keep leads warm after a virtual event interaction. And I think that's really valuable, especially as we think about the downloadable materials, the videos and demos. You're going to have people interacting with your booth. So if they're clicking a video, if they're viewing a demo, you're going to be able to see those details and potentially have follow-up opportunities with them. So as we think about personalization, there's really a couple of different levels. One is their actual interaction with you. So like what they requested, and just getting straight to the point and giving them what they requested is an easy way to respect their time. The second level is around the type of company they work for. Do they work at a services company? Do they work at a tech company, a crypto company, an AI company? That might tell you the type of needs they have. I think that the other level of personalization that we think about is relevance based on the type of job title or job that they do. So what I mean by this, if it's a VP of HR or a chief people officer, they're going to have very different priorities than a HR BP or somebody that's maybe a people ops generalist. And so having the ability to speak to different different tiers or different priorities, whether it's end user engagement, end level folks, the people that are actually doing the work, or whether it's at the executive level, the folks that are making the decisions, coaching their teams, helping their teams make the most of their decisions. You want to make sure that your offering in your follow-up is tailored based on those different dimensions. Company they work for, the type of the level they're at, whether it's executive level, middle manager, end user, and then also the type of job they're doing. So if it's HR, finance, or whoever it might be, obviously most of our folks are going to be centered around HR. Final thing to mention here on this slide is also around the videos and demos and the special offer. So if you think about the special offer you might give away that's uniquely valuable for HR Week, that might be something that because you're saving money on things like travel to and from the conference, your team is able to build a great catered offer because the customer acquisition cost is going to be lower upfront as compared to a traditional environment. And so you can maybe afford to sweeten up the offer a little bit and have it balance out. Also, the videos and demos that you specifically put up, it might be worth recording some specific for HR Week. I mean, that would make me feel like you prioritized me as an attendee if I showed up and your video or offer or demo was built specifically for this engagement, this conference, and what I'm there to review and learn about. So as we think about building a standout digital booth, it's not only what you have up there on the real estate, the videos Laura was showing you, the specific buttons. It's also the takeaways. What are they going to take with them from your booth? And then it's also having somewhere that you can point back to long-term as you're doing these follow-ups so that people can revisit and pick that back up where they left off. Final thing to note here, as we think about specifically the discount talk, as we think about the exclusive HR Week offer, vendors can get 10% off their booth or participation package if you make your purchase within the next 24 hours. So obviously you want to take action quickly and it's only available for the next 24 hours. You will see pretty immediate ROI through the early participation. So that way you can get these things set up and start building a strategy. And that strategy obviously needs to incorporate marketing, sales, your events team, and everyone. So the quicker that you can get registered, get your booth and participation package aligned, the quicker you can start working on those items across your team. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Laura. Yeah.
Thank you, Luke, so much. It was really insightful. And I was so happy listening to everything you said, because when you look at it the right way and when you do it the right way, it's the very, very, very valuable thing. So thank you very much for sharing these insights. I don't see any other questions, and the two questions that were here were already answered. So I would say that we could also wrap up for today. For everyone present, you can expect to get the webinar recording on your email. So thank you once again, Luke, for your time and for sharing all this valuable information. And thank you once again to all of you, and see you at HR Week.
Thanks.